What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Feud. Today we are recording our starts and sits of Week 3. Mason, you can see him all excited over there because of his guys that he has chosen for us to review today. And before we get into this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe down below if you enjoy all of our content that you've been listening to. Leave a comment down below. I want to hear any start-sit advice that you guys may have on other players that we don't talk about today. We're only going to talk about 6 different guys in about a 10-minute frame, so let's not mess around here and let's just get right into things. The start set that I chose was Trey Sermon. I thought he's a very interesting case this week because he is playing the Packers. However, it is going to be his first time getting to shine, essentially. He's the starter now with Elijah Mitchell out of the picture. And I want to start off with one of you guys before we get into Trey Sermon. What do you guys think about starting and sitting him?
I think this week is a great week for out of the blue to rely on Trey Sermon. All the running back trouble that's going on in San Francisco, all it takes is for him to bust off a couple of good carries, and boom, he's got the rest of the game in his hands. I think he was a hot commodity coming in most of draft season. He was talked about all off season. Drafted him in the third or fourth round, I don't quite remember, of the actual NFL draft. And he's got some big shoes to fill coming in. I can't talk.
Yeah, I mean, with him, I feel like it should be decent because I feel like playing the Packers, they're going to have to rely a little bit on the run game to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Obviously, he's about the only healthy running back they have right now. I would start him. If you have him, he just came out of concussion protocol. I don't know if that's going to kind of work in his favor, or if it might take any small little injury or hit that's going to knock him out of the game. Dealing with that issue again, but I like what you guys said.
I talked about it on our previous episode. I said Trey Sermon, any Niners running back that plays on that team. It doesn't matter who you are. You're going to go out there. You're going to get your touches. You're going to have your 100 yards and a touchdown. I don't know why. It's just every single Niners running back in existence is always good somehow. So
yeah.
I say he's a good flex play this week. So I say start him.
Fantasy Feud says start Trey Sermon, baby. Let's go.
All right.
I like it.
Let's talk about my other guy that I chose, and that would be Amari Cooper coming off the rib injury. I think, personally, you should start him. That is in my opinion, my eyes. I have him in a league. I really like him. Even if he's hurt, I think he's going to have a bounce-back game. He might be out there as a decoy for a little bit, but he's still going to get the targets and he's still going to get the catches. Don't be afraid. If Amari Cooper plays and you have him on your team, you kind of just have to start him.
You see, I'm a stone on that. I don't like the fact that I have to start Amari Cooper, but I am starting him in a league this week. I do believe that if you have some flexibility, and you can move some guys around, like maybe you're questioning Sterling Shepard right now, but maybe you could swap Amari Cooper real quick for Sterling Shepard, and boom, there you go. I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about. It's hard to pull the trigger on that. I think you always start Amari Cooper, but if he's playing, but he could go out and get you another 3 points.
I mean, Amari Cooper has kind of done nothing but show out this year. He stepped up in the game against Tampa Bay, which we didn't really have.
See week 2?
I believe he had 3 points week 2.
Okay.
Week 1, he showed out.
Tell me
if you average out his weeks, he showed out. 3.6, I believe.
He had nothing.
That's it?
He did nothing.
And
so was it the running game that took over then? Because I thought he put up at least 10 points last week.
He had 38 points. So if you average out both weeks, yes, he's doing great for fantasy.
20 a week there.
Right, yeah, fair. I mean, I didn't watch much of that game, but I thought obviously he had the rib injury, but I thought that happened late in the game, and I thought he had put up decent amount of points. Okay, maybe take that back. But I mean, he's still looked at as like the number one target over there. They tried to run the ball. Zeke maybe not so much. Looked like he was heavily involved. Tony Pollard, he kind of flipped the script on everybody. And he took over that run game. I don't know if that's kind of a week in, week out thing. I still expect Zeke to be good. But strictly when it comes to Amari Cooper, I have no qualms about playing him. I think he's going to be fine.
Before we move on, I want to say his stat line was 3 catches, 24 yards last week, and he got the rib injury on his last catch in the fourth quarter. I still like him. I'm not scared of him.
If that's a standard PPR league, you're looking at like 5 points. That's better than the 3-6 you guys just said.
I know. I had him in a league, and he got me saying that. But yeah, so sorry. He got like 5 point whatever.
No,
All right.
that was just a sarcastic joke I was throwing in.
All right, let's move on to Paul's guys that he has for start sits. It seemed like we're on the same wavelengths about Amari Cooper. He's also another fantasy feud stardom, just because you kind of have to. Paul's first guy is Justin Fields. You know, we're the Bears homer. He's got to pick him, right? But, I mean, he is a very interesting one because it's his first start, and he's playing against a Cleveland defense that's been allowing a decent amount of points this year. Paul, what's your take on it?
So I think Justin is going to kind of come out. He's going to start a little slow. I mean, obviously we've seen it last week, but that was him being acclimated to the offense, acclimated to working with the ones. But an interesting fact that our Hall of Fame bound head coach Matt Nagy talked about is that Justin Fields has been showing them new and exciting things while playing with the ones.
Oh, here we go.
So if that doesn't tell you how terrible he's been mismanaged so far, I don't know what does. But I think he's going to go out. I think he's going to have the best career start for any rookie Chicago quarterback, which isn't saying a whole bunch, because I think he has to surpass like 253 yards. I know back in the day, it was like 1980-something. We had a quarterback throw for like 253, 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. I foresee a better day than that, maybe not the 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to go out there. I think he's going to take advantage of this banged-up secondary, just their team overall. I don't think they have safety Ronnie Harrison due to his ejection. He might be coming back for this game. But I know they got a couple linebackers that are out. So they're banged up, and I think Justin Fields is going to be able to take advantage of it. He's going to rely on the run game of David Montgomery. And I think he's going to have the best debut of any Chicago quarterback.
I'm going to tie this together. Stone, do you have something to say about Justin? Tie it into my next.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm a big Bears fan, and this is what I've wanted to happen for a while now. I think he could be special for us in the future. But if you have a top-tier quarterback, obviously, do not start him if he's your backup. And if you're kind of in a quarterback crunch, then maybe he's worth the start because he's playing against the banged-up Browns defense, who's been allowing a lot of points. But I'm just going to say hold your horses for the week. We never know. Most rookie quarterbacks don't have very good NFL debuts. So I want to say hold your horses. If he has a great week this week, then we'll talk about next week starting him.
I like it. The way I've drafted this year, I've got Justin Fields in a lot of leagues. I do expect him to do big things. Week 1, debut for the Bears, I don't know. In a certain scenario I had Ryan Tannehill as a starting quarterback. I dropped him for Danny Dimes, all right? And then I've had Justin Fields on my bench. And now I've got Danny Dimes as my starter, and I've got Justin Fields sitting on the bench. And I'll tell you what's going on. This will kind of play into my starter sit. I've got Daniel Jones as my start this week. I think he's playing Atlanta. I know he's playing Atlanta. Atlanta is not good against the pass. So where I'm at, unless you have to start Justin Fields over a guy, I mean, this is a great situation. Who do you play him over, Daniel Jones or Justin Fields? I'm starting Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has come out this year, scored 23 and 31 fantasy points. He's got 516 passing yards, 122 total rushing yards, 4 total TDs. The guy is playing great. I am all for starting him against Atlanta. So, yeah, I'm starting Daniel Jones over Justin Fields.
I want to jump in on that real quick. Sorry, Stone. I have the same exact situation, actually.
Nice.
My starter so far has been Kirk Cousins. I have Justin Fields as my backup. But this week, I benched both of them, and I went and picked up Danny Dimes on waivers because he's playing that Atlanta defense. Now, that might kind of cause an issue for me having 3 quarterbacks going forward if Daniel Jones continues to kind of play the way he has. I mean, just to potentially, hypothetically, I guess, up those rushing stats you just spoke about, Mason. Last week against Washington, he had like a 70-yard run taken back due to a holding. So that 122 could easily be closer to about 170 to 200 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So for this week specifically, I'm 100% on board with that. Again, I am sitting Justin Fields, even though I love him. I think he's going to be great. Like Mason said, if you're in a crunch where you have to play him, it's okay to do so because I think he's going to be great. Also, if you have a better option, I guess not a better option, but a more experienced option to play him, especially if it's in a matchup against a better defense, then I would do so. And I loved your start of Daniel Jones this week.
All aboard the Danny Dimes train, baby. I'm all in with him as well. If you have him, start him. It's a good game for him this week against Atlanta. Next person we have to talk about is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm just going to keep it nice and short. We're kind of on a time crunch right now. I'm going to keep it nice and short. CEH, he was my bust at the beginning of the year, going too early in drafts. So thus far, he has proved it. Until he proves otherwise in his involvement in the offense, then I say sit him. But I bet he goes out and balls out this week because I said that.
Listen, this is my starter shit. I'm feeling the Clyde Edwards-Helaire just remorse of drafting him with my 3rd overall pick. He's not doing well. He played horribly against the Ravens. I do believe he is still seeing – no, I don't believe. I know he's seeing him touches in the backfield. It's going to stay the same. Yes, he fumbled in a crucial moment. I do believe that the Kansas City Chiefs still give him all the opportunity to be the lead back. All they need to do is start getting him involved in the passing game a little more. He's still going to receive 15 to 20 touches a game. He is playing the Chargers. I believe he will have a bounce-back week. I'm not saying great, but when you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now, he's about a flex play. I'm playing him in my flex. I'm hoping to get about 10 to 15 points out of him this week versus the Chargers. So start Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I want to say something interesting. He was drafted because he was that guy that could catch the ball from LSU. That's a big reason why Andy Reid liked him so much. He was a 2,000-yard receiving back at LSU, I believe, over his career. And I saw a stat today that actually said that since being in the NFL, he only has 40 targets. That is it. Not receptions. Yeah. That is 40 targets.
Last year and 4 this year.
Yep. Absolutely insane.
It's wild. He's seeing 4.8% of the target share right now through games. That's not a lot. I do believe. I mean, the Chiefs just lost to the Ravens. They're gonna have to change up the game plan a little bit. And they were playing down in week 1. Like they almost got beat week 1, but they came back. They played out. They're gonna have to do a little something different to be that high-powered offense. I think they need to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire involved more often and more early in the game.
All right. So
to speak. I'm just going to talk real quick about it. To speak what you're saying, Mason, that's also why conveniently I tried to trade with him for you, or trade with you for him. Try to swap 2 misused running backs, James Robinson versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Clyde is going to have a bounce-back game against the Chargers. Like you said, we seen Tony Pollard do it last week. He outshined the starter, Zeke, who I think still had like 60 yards on his own right. Tony Pollard went for the tune of like 144 all-purpose yards. And we know that Clyde is a very similar running back if he gets those touches out of the backfield as well as the receptions. And that's just kind of where I stand on that.
All right, our last sit and start of the day is going to be Will Fuller. Miami's receiver is back for week 3 against the Raiders. We're going to keep it nice and short here. I think that he is a sit until he proves what he can do. He has a good chance against this Raiders defense to show out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, this is his first week back. I think it's going to take some time to get some flow going in that offense. I think him and Jalen Waddle kind of share the same skill set. I think Jalen Waddle is overtaking that right now, but I do believe in the coming weeks, Will Fuller will get his act together and he will be a startable option.
I'm kind of with you, or both you guys on that. Coming back after the suspension of last year, coming into week 1, sitting out last year week 2, personal injury or personal issues. But I also think that he has a chance to kind of, I guess, maybe make an impact only because Jacoby Brissett is their starter. It's not to say that Jalen Waddle and Devontae Parker and them don't have chemistry with him. they all have more chemistry with Tua, obviously, because he's their starting quarterback, even going into last year. But like you said, this is his first week back. He hasn't seen any actual game flow since last year, like week 12. So I would probably sit him as well. Just like you said, wait until he kind of gets back into it and shows what he can do in this offense.
All right, well, that's your fantasy few sit-em of the week right there is Will Fuller. If you have him, do not plug him in. He's not worth the risk right now. But we will probably be eating our words once the week is over, and he has 2 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that's all we have time for today, guys. Thanks for sticking around and listening to our starts and sits of the week. We are the Fantasy Few. If you enjoyed the video, like it, comment, subscribe. It means the world to us. And like I said before, comment down below if you guys have any questions fantasy related. We're more than happy to help you guys out. But in the wise words of Mason Reed,
Fantasy Few is out today. Start Danny Dimes. Let's go.